Michael Jordan did not hand out compliments. When he loved a player, it meant trust and respect. Here are 7 players MJ really loved. Let's start with a name synonymous with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. Despite what Scottie Pippen wants you to believe, Jordan really did love him. As a matter of fact, Jordan gave Scottie his props hundreds of times over the years. During his Hall of Fame acceptance speech, Jordan thanked the people who shaped his career and has repeated for years that he never won anything without Pippen, calling him his best teammate of all time. The same message appears in The Last Dance, where Jordan says that whenever people talk about Michael Jordan, they should also speak about Scottie Pippen, because he did not win without him. Jordan's praise was not polite ceremony. It came with specifics about what Pippen did for him. He credited Scottie for changing how he approached the game and for being the perfect partner who covered everything on the floor. In the documentary, Jordan says he would never find another tandem like Pippen, and that Scottie helped him in the way he played and thought the game. This was love rooted in trust, and the reality that Chicago's titles required a two-man core that fit on both ends. On the court, the reasons were obvious. Pippen's defense, length, and ability to handle the ball let Jordan stay aggressive without carrying every possession. When Pippen pushed in transition or took primary assignments against elite wings, Jordan could pick spots and close games. Teammates and coaches have long described Pippen as the connector who kept the group steady, even taking blame in huddles to protect others when tensions rose. That steadiness is part of why Jordan kept pointing back to him whenever the dynasty was discussed. The public story has gotten messier in recent years, with Pippen airing frustrations about The Last Dance and how the era was portrayed. He has criticized Jordan's treatment of teammates and the way credit was distributed, which fueled headlines about their fallout. None of that erases what Jordan said on camera and over decades about Pippen's value. The documentary and multiple interviews captured Jordan's stance clearly. He did not win without Scottie Pippen, and he considered him his best teammate ever. That is as direct as it gets from a star who rarely gave out praise. Next, we have another Chicago Bull, Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley was more than a teammate to Michael Jordan. He was a friend, a shield, and the tone setter for the young Bulls. Oakley arrived as a rookie in 1985 and earned Jordan's trust with effort, toughness, and a clear role. He set hard screens, cleared space on the glass, and sent messages when opponents took cheap shots. Oakley has said he played a role and that Jordan could always count on him. That is how their bond started and why it lasted. The enforcer tag was real. In an era of hand checks and hard fouls, Oakley protected Chicago's star. When Jordan drove, Oakley made sure defenders felt the cost of rough play on the next trip. That edge mattered for a skinny scorer learning how to survive nightly contact. Jordan respected the sacrifice and the discipline. He has publicly referred to Oakley as his bodyguard, and he treated him like family. Their relationship was built on loyalty and accountability, not flattery. The friendship carried off the court. They traveled, talked, and competed at everything. Oakley's book captures that dynamic in detail, and the biggest tell of their closeness is on the cover page. The foreword is by Michael Jordan himself. Oakley describes how he earned Jordan's trust by always being on time, playing with purpose, and never asking for special treatment. That fit Jordan's standard and deepened their bond. When Oakley speaks about Jordan, it is with the blunt honesty of someone who stood next to him in the real fights. Then came the 1988 trade. Chicago needed size in the middle and sent Oakley to New York for Bill Cartwright. Jordan hated losing his friend and protector. Years later, he admitted he was wrong in basketball terms because Cartwright helped unlock the first three-peat, but he was open about how the move felt. "I loved Charles Oakley. He was like a brother to me," Jordan said, before conceding the deal made basketball sense for the Bulls' title push. The point is simple. Even when the trade worked, Jordan still talked about Oakley like family. Oakley says the news hurt him from the heart, and you can see why. Jordan had found a teammate who matched his intensity and took the heat for him when games got ugly. That kind of trust does not come often. The bond survived the jersey change and the rivalry that followed. Oakley's Knicks tried to knock the Bulls off for years, and the battles were nasty, yet the respect between the two never cracked. When Oakley later told stories from those years, the theme was steady: loyalty first, standards every day. Time has not dulled it. Decades later, Oakley still appears in long interviews explaining how he earned Jordan's confidence, and Jordan still gets credited for lifting Oakley's profile by including him in The Last Dance and speaking on his behalf. Oakley has even joked about preferring to play with LeBron because of passing style, but he calls Jordan his best friend and describes their relationship as one built on respect. For Jordan, who rarely used the word friend loosely, that says everything about how he felt about Charles Oakley. Next player is MJ's boyhood idol, and the man he chose to introduce him at the Hall of Fame. Let's talk about David Thompson. David Thompson was the rare case of a hero who stayed a hero once Michael Jordan met him. Jordan asked Thompson to present him at the Hall of Fame and explained exactly why on stage. He said he grew up an anti-Carolina kid who hated UNC, yet was in love with David Thompson, not just for the game of basketball, but in terms of what he represented, adding that Thompson's story inspired him. Jordan's admiration began with Thompson's style. Thompson's vertical game and fearless attacking gave Jordan a model for how a guard could live above the rim without losing efficiency. By the time Jordan was a teenager in Wilmington, Thompson had already led NC State to the 1974 national title and won Final Four Most Outstanding Player, cementing the Skywalker image that captured young fans across North Carolina. Those peaks are not folklore. They are in Thompson's Hall of Fame and NC State records. The respect ran deeper than highlights. In his speech, Jordan framed Thompson as an example of how to face adversity. He said everyone goes through trials, and that Thompson did too, which made his perseverance meaningful to a kid looking up from afar. Jordan even joked that he shocked Thompson with the Hall of Fame request, but the choice showed how personal this was. When Jordan wanted one person beside him on that stage, he picked the player who first showed him what greatness could look like. Thompson received the gesture as a full-circle moment. Coverage at the time made clear that Jordan had long drawn inspiration from Thompson's game and career, and that Thompson's presence at the ceremony was not a token nod to state pride. It was a tribute from one North Carolina legend to another who came first. Thompson's own arc, from college dominance to pro stardom and later struggles, matched the "what he represented" line that Jordan emphasized in Springfield. That is why the selection turned heads, but made perfect sense to those who knew the backstory. The basketball link is easy to trace. Thompson was one of the original blueprint guards for explosive scoring bursts, including a 73-point masterpiece in 1978 that stood as a franchise standard for decades. Performances like that, along with his ACC reign, showed how a wing could control a game with lift, timing, and touch. Jordan's game grew into its own version of that idea, broader and sharper, but rooted in the proof that a relentless, high-elevation scorer could tilt everything. That is what Thompson gave him first: proof and a path. The man who ruled the league before Jordan became Jordan is the next guy on our list. Here's why Jordan loved Magic Johnson so much. Now, Johnson started as the obstacle. By June 1991, he was still the game's brightest conductor, and the Lakers were the league's gold standard. Jordan's Bulls met them in the finals and took the crown, a series widely framed as a baton pass from Magic's era to Jordan's. The stage and symbolism mattered, and both men understood it. Competition hardened the respect. Johnson's command of tempo, spacing, and teammates was a masterclass in leadership that Jordan had to solve in real time. Chicago's answer in that series, ball pressure, tempo control, and late-game execution, didn't erase what Magic represented. It proved Jordan could meet that standard, not mock it. In the years after, Johnson openly said the Bulls' win signaled the start of the Jordan era, reinforcing how clean the handoff looked in basketball terms. A year later, the uniforms matched. On the 1992 Dream Team, Magic's voice and Jordan's edge shared the same huddle. Practices in La Jolla and then Monaco became lore, none more famous than the Monte Carlo scrimmage that veterans and coaches still call the best game no one saw. Johnson captained one side, Jordan the other. The run was fierce, loud, and decisive in shaping pecking order before Barcelona. That day told Jordan a lot about Magic's leadership up close. Johnson organized, encouraged, and needled, trying to bend elite talent toward a common pace, the same gift he used for a decade in Los Angeles. Jordan responded by imposing his will, closing the scrimmage with stops and buckets that teammates remembered years later. The takeaway wasn't disdain, it was appreciation. Jordan called it the best game he had ever been in, a line that doubles as respect for the opponent leading the other bench. Their week in Monaco cemented the ally phase. They competed, talked, and set standards together, then dominated the Olympics without drama. Reporting and retrospectives tie those practices to a simple theme. Johnson's presence raised the group's organization and confidence, and Jordan's competitiveness finished the job. The blend worked because both valued accountability and clarity. Neither needed speeches to say who was in charge of a possession or a drill. The admiration lasted. Johnson has often described those days with fondness, and Jordan has consistently grouped Magic with the few peers whose approach he studied, not just their highlights. You can see that in how he speaks about the 1980s foundation he inherited, and in how easily he credits Magic's impact when discussing the league's growth and the standards set before Chicago's run. Their bond in public moments, reunions, interviews, and anniversary celebrations reads like what it became in 1992. Rivals who learned from each other and then shared a jersey to chase the same goal. So when you call Magic the respected rival turned Dream Team ally, you are really describing the path of Jordan's respect. First, solve the most organized leader in basketball on the biggest stage. Next, share a locker room and feel that leadership from the inside. Finally, carry forward the standard together, one era into the next. Let's stay in Los Angeles and talk about another Lakers legend, Jerry West, and Jordan's love for him. In 2024, after West passed away at 86, Jordan called him a friend and mentor, like an older brother, adding that he valued West's friendship and knowledge. He said he had always wished to face West as a competitor, but after knowing him, wished they had been teammates. He praised West's basketball insights and said they shared similarities in how they approached the game. That is Jordan speaking plainly about respect and affection. The admiration started with the resume and the reputation. West was Mr. Clutch, a champion, an Olympic gold medalist, and the longtime model for closing games with nerve and precision. His silhouette inspired the league's logo, and his influence stretched from his playing prime into one of the most successful executive careers in basketball. When people describe the standards Jordan chased in the 1980s, West is part of that map. A ruthless competitor, a meticulous worker, and a decision-maker who set a tone for entire organizations. Jordan's comments show that he studied West's mentality as much as his highlights. The line about shared similarities matters. West was famous for living with results, not slogans. He obsessed over details, shot quality, and late-game execution. Jordan's career mirrored that posture. He hunted the best shot, carried the burden of final possessions, and judged seasons by championships. Calling West a mentor implies conversations about process and pressure, not just praise. Jordan went out of his way to credit West's mind for the game, which is not something he did often with peers from previous eras. There is also the human piece. Jordan's statement read like a letter to someone who helped him off the floor as well. Friend and mentor is not a throwaway pairing when it comes from Jordan. He did not use friend loosely. He also noted how much he valued West's knowledge, then attached a wish to have been his teammate. That is more than courtesy after a death. It is a window into the kind of company Jordan kept when he wanted the truth about basketball and leadership. The esteem ran both ways. West spent years calling Jordan the greatest player he had ever seen, praising his two-way impact and competitiveness. He said Jordan had done more spectacular things than any player he had watched. Those are not casual compliments coming from a harsh judge of talent who built title teams and evaluated superstars for decades. West's public stance reinforced why Jordan's admiration felt grounded. If the best talent evaluator of his generation saw Jordan as the standard, it made sense that Jordan would look back at West's model for how to carry that standard. Put it together and the picture is clear. Jordan loved West because he saw a blueprint. Mr. Clutch showed what it looked like to pair skill with obsession and to turn pressure into a habit. Jordan then lived that creed and later saluted the source. Okay, all of you knew this one is coming. Let's talk about MJ's love for his protege, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant was the rare peer Michael Jordan openly claimed as family. At the 2020 memorial in Los Angeles, Jordan called Kobe his dear friend and, like a little, brother. Then admitted the loss took a piece of him. He described late-night calls and constant questions about technique, including advice Kobe wanted to pass to his daughter's team. Those details came straight from Jordan on stage. The relationship began as competition. A teenager with the Lakers came straight at the Bulls icon. By the 1998 All-Star Weekend, Cameras caught the two talking, testing, and needling each other before tip. The mentorship followed quickly. Jordan treated Kobe as a serious student and answered when he called. The public could see the shift from curiosity to respect in how the two interacted as Kobe rose. The footage from that all-star setting is still a clean window into the start. Jordan's support never felt ceremonial. It showed up in the roles he took. In April 2021, the Hall of Fame announced that Jordan would present Bryant at his enshrinement, an honor that underlined what both men had already said in private and on camera. When the class went in that May, Jordan served as the bridge for Kobe's career, the person chosen to stand beside his family. You do not present a player at Springfield unless the bond is real. There is also the record of their last conversation. In a 2021 interview, Jordan shared the final text exchange with Kobe from December 2019. The messages were short, friendly, and built around coaching and family. Kobe joked about blowing out an opponent from the bench while coaching Gianna's team. Jordan teased him with "Coach Kobe" and wished him happy holidays. The tone was exactly what Jordan described at the memorial. It was brotherly and ordinary, which is why it landed so hard later. Jordan's words at the memorial are the best summary of what Kobe meant to him. He praised the relentlessness that first annoyed him and then won him over. He talked about the questions, the texts, and the way Kobe worked to learn moves, footwork, and angles. He spoke about family and business, not only basketball. He closed by telling Kobe to rest in peace and by telling the world how deeply he felt the loss. The speech was not PR. It was a direct account of a relationship built over 2 decades. Kobe's side matched it. In The Last Dance, he called Jordan his big brother and credited him for guidance that helped shape his career. The segment framed their connection as mentorship more than rivalry. It showed a player who studied the standard and then asked the standard bearer for help. When you pair that with Jordan's memorial and his role at the Hall of Fame, the picture is complete. This was not a one-way tribute. It was mutual respect that matured into trust. And let's finish things off with someone surprising. Here's why Jordan loved Walter Davis. As a rookie in 1984, when asked the best player he'd faced, Jordan didn't say Magic, Bird, or Dr. J. He said Walter Davis, explaining he'd battled him in summer runs and come away impressed. Davis was already a North Carolina legend. By the time Jordan arrived in Chapel Hill, he starred for UNC from 1973 to 1977, then became a 6-time All-Star with the Phoenix Suns and the 1978 Rookie of the Year, building a reputation for smooth mid-range scoring and effortless pace. His nickname was the Greyhound, and his resume later included a Ring of Honor spot and Hall of Fame induction in 2024. Jordan didn't hide how much he learned from older wings. He has said his game evolved on the shoulders of players like Julius Erving, David Thompson, Walter Davis, and Elgin Baylor. Davis fit that mold, a 6'6" wing who glided into pull-ups, attacked space, and punished mistakes with balance and touch. For a young guard in Wilmington trying to figure out a blueprint, Davis offered a clear one. The admiration even turned into roster lobbying. Reporting from Chicago's dynasty years notes that Jordan pushed the Bulls to trade for Davis, a veteran scorer he trusted. Ownership balked, but the episode underlined how strongly Jordan rated him. This wasn't nostalgia. He believed Davis could help him win. Davis's broader career explains why. He finished with 19 Fouts, 521 points, made 6 All-Star teams, and held the Suns' career scoring lead for decades. He also authored one of the wildest efficiency feats on record, 34 consecutive points before his first miss in a 1983 game. That combination of skill and composure is exactly what Jordan valued in perimeter scorers. So yes, it's a surprise name to many, but the record is plain. Young Jordan studied Walter Davis, praised him in public as the toughest he'd played to that point, tried to recruit him, and later credited him among the influences that shaped his own. Michael Jordan did not love casually. These 7 earned it through trust, toughness, and the standard they set for him. If you want more deep dives into NBA history, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell.